Hi, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Jessica.
Welcome to Cluedunnit, the podcast where we make wild guesses about fake TV crimes.
Without any clues, context, or apparently accuracy. All right, let's find out.
Who was right?
Who was wrong?
And who is dead? I think we need to amend our intro for this episode to be who is right, who was wrong, and who thinks this is a disaster of a Shakespearean play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's not the episode that we're going to be watching to clarify what...
Well, no, that is the episode. Okay, so what episode are we? Are doing Shakespeare and Hathaway. What are we doing?
Yes, we're doing season 1, episode 7, and it is called The Fairest Show Means Most Deceit.
Okay, so The Fairest Show Means Most Deceit is a quote from Pericles, Prince of Tyre, a Shakespearean play, kind of a bridge between like his earlier tragedies like Othello and Macbeth and those very doom and gloom and dour things, to his later, maybe not necessarily comedies. Well, they're comedies. Everybody doesn't die at the end, so they're comedies.
Yeah.
But like the journey plays of redemption where you get into like you get into Winter's Tale, you get into The Tempest, you get into these people going on journeys, coming back and having learned something. So Pericles is kind of the first one to that. And by all accounts, it's a bit of a mess.
I haven't read it.
This is the thing. Like, I don't know that I don't think I've read it. I've certainly never seen it. Have you ever even seen it?
I think that I have, but I'm not 100% sure.
This is the thing. It does not get produced a lot. Pericles, and don't get me wrong, again, the word we learned last week was resonance. These are just shows that have resonance with the Shakespeare and Hathaway episodes. Yeah. So there's that. But what I will say, like I was trying to find some resonance in this because I'm not familiar with this at all. And I came across this 2016 New Yorker article written by Cynthia Zarin. She was interviewing Trevor Nunn. You know Trevor Nunn.
Yeah.
Very famous theater
director.
Yes. Yeah. Directed Cats, directed Les Mis, and many, many other things. Was even for like close to 20 years, from 1968 to 1986, he was artistic director at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. Like at the RSC. Yes. I'm sorry, Royal Shakespeare Company, not theater. Pillory me later. Anyways, so like 20 years he was artistic director of the RSC. And then another 30 years after that, 2016, is when he's talking to this writer in the New Yorker, Trevor Nunn. 50 years of a career, never once directed Pericles.
Oh my gosh.
Until him. So like, yes, it's a mess of a play. This is how Cynthia Zarin in this article summarizes the play. Pericles falls in love with a princess and then, by correctly guessing the answer to a riddle, discovers that she's ensnared in an incestuous relationship with her tyrannical father, the king, who threatens to kill him.
Oh.
Pericles flees for his life, marries Thasia, am I saying this right? I'm not sure. Thasia, the daughter of King Simonides, and has a daughter, Marina. And then he loses them both in a storm at sea when he's traveling to home, endures multiple calamities, and then is eventually reunited with his family. So that's the play. But this is where it gets to be a lot of fun. One, I am not a big believer. Like, look, Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare, okay? I am not a believer that Kit Marlowe wrote Shakespeare. Now,
or the Earl of Essex.
Or the Earl of Essex, or whoever else you want to try it out there. But apparently there is really good evidence that Shakespeare did write this play with somebody, what's the gentleman's name? Pamphleteer and whoremonger George Wilkins.
Okay.
Yeah, owned a pub, published pamphlets, and was apparently a bit of a pimp. And this is a great quote from Zarin. Wilkins may have written the first 2 acts, and then Shakespeare wrote the third. This theory is based on the idea that the first 2 acts are so bad that Shakespeare couldn't have written them. Which, I love that. I love that.
Can you just imagine, like, the picture that this guy's like, I wrote this play. I need you to finish it, man. I just need you to finish it. It's my life work. I've written, but I've only got the he's writing, like, trying to be like Tom Clancy, and he's got like this military genius, he thinks he's like military.
Well, no.
And he gives it to Shakespeare, and Shakespeare's like,
I need the money to put this on.
Fine.
But you're not too far wrong, because apparently, like, a couple years after the play debuted, like, Wilkins did release a novel based on the same story with more stuff that he had written.
Oh my goodness.
So you're not too far wrong.
Oh my goodness.
But nobody likes this play. Nobody likes this play. It was it nearly fell out of use until like the mid 1800s when Samuel Phelps in 1854 pretty much brought it back into public consciousness when he staged it so that there was a ship actually on stage with like this panorama of fabric behind them to make it look like the ship was moving. So yeah, this play long forgotten. So yeah, there's just going to be a bunch of resonance on this. I will end with one final thing. The dramaturg for Trevor Nunn's performance just says, this is a great quote, "It is essential to see that the play is a mess."
It is essential.
It is essential
As
to
you
see.
walk in, like, there's a scrim that comes down, and in block lettering,
It is essential that
Arial.
we all know. Yes.
It is
Papyrus.
essential.
No. It's got to be in papyrus. If you're doing this, it needs to be in papyrus. This play is a mess. Oh yeah, we can tell by the font. So I'm really looking forward to how much fun Shakespeare and Hathaway can have with all of this ridiculousness.
Yeah, what's going to resonate? What are we going to see?
That is the story of Pericles.
Yeah.
What is the story of this episode?
Well, okay, I found 2 log lines. One of them is on IMDb. One of them was on the BBC's.
Is this an IMDb essay logline?
No, well, it is a little long.
Okay.
It's one of those plot ones, but it doesn't give it away. There is no pre-cheating.
So you say.
It just has some details.
Okay.
So we'll read that one first.
Sure.
Okay. So
I'm putting my fingers in my ear so I don't actually get spoiled for this.
Sure. Then only me and the guests will know. So Frank is skeptical when an American, Martin Mariner, shows up claiming to be his uncle. Meanwhile, Frank and Luella are asked by shop owners Diana and Leon to prove that their cash-strapped employee Lola is faking an injury claim against them. Then Diana is murdered, and Martin is a prime suspect.
Oh, no.
In proving his innocence, Frank also gets to clear up another mystery.
Okay.
Okay, and so the other logline, which is from the BBC, says, "A workplace compensation claim is not as straightforward as it seems, and Frank is skeptical when a long-lost relative tracks him down."
Maybe we just stick with the BBC from here on out. Maybe we don't even need to go to the IMDb.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is pretty tight logline.
It was pretty.
It
was vague and like it just hit every twist and turn.
But we know there is a murder from
yeah.
the IMDb one, which is why I kept reading it. So
Got it.
that's how that happened. And I was trolling the internet for more pictures, which is how I ended up on the BBC site.
Well, thank you, BBC. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, BBC.
You did a very good job, even though Pericles is a mess.
BBC, good job. BBC, good job. That's my song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah, so this episode
We're filing out with ASCAP. I would love to hear somebody sample that. So go for it. It's Creative Commons. I take that back. We're not going to file it with ASCAP. Creative Commons. Let's see what remixes we can get out of that song.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say, I really enjoy the How Did This Get Made podcast and all of the cool songs that they have. Oh, the Second Opinion song, my favorite of all times. Love it. Yeah, okay. So in this show, this episode that we're watching, we do, of course, get to see Frank Hathaway, played by Mark Benton, Luella Shakespeare, played by Joy Joyner, and Sebastian Bridnell, the assistant.
I also have to say about Sebastian that our cat has also decided that Sebastian is his favorite character.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Like he meows and his tail wags every time Sebastian's on screen. So
I hadn't noticed.
No, we absolutely have a Sebastian fan.
Well, I guess we need to get some podcast images of that, Jacob. Okay, I'll have to notice. Okay, so that character is played by Patrick Welsh McBride, and then we have D.I. Marlowe, played by Amber Aga in this episode, and then we also have the return of Roberta Taylor as costumier Gloria Fontaine.
Costumier extraordinaire.
So that means that Sebastian's in something cool this time.
He's always in something cool.
Yeah, very excited about that. And then, of course, creators Paul Matthew Thompson and Jude Tyndall. And then the episode is directed by Peter Sekopiak, which I probably mispronounced. We talked about him when we did the episode Toil and Trouble. He also directed that episode, which is season 1, episode 5. And he's the guy who started MTV Europe and then went on to Sky TV to create this sort of film magazine show called The Movie Show. And then he wrote and directed a film after doing a lot of continuing drama, which we've had a lot of fun with that term.
Continuing drama, which is also what could be called my years in college. What was years? Continuing drama. That is how I describe my years in college.
Yes, every day.
Continuing
red
drama.
Blush, orange blush, and then just little minute storylines pushed along.
Are you dating? Are you dating her still, or are you broken up? Oh, you're broken up this week. Okay, great. Oh, no. Oh, you're back together.
Now he's in the mental institution. Now he has a long lost daughter. Now.
Oh my God! If I had a long lost daughter in college, there would have been some crazy drama around that.
Yeah. I think you'd have what you would have is an identical twin. Like a doppelganger that would show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, we would definitely have to work the identical twin.
You'd get like 6 months out of that.
Oh, at least. At least.
Like a month just of the scenes of you looking at each other.
Well, a month of the scenes of us like missing each other, and then like all of our friends being like, "You were just here."
Yeah.
And you got rid of the sideburns.
Yes.
What do you mean sideburns? I've never had. Yeah. No, that's at least a month of us missing each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So continuing, yeah, for sure. That mine too, honestly. I mean, that's just college.
I hope yours wouldn't have sideburns. So let's be honest, you would not have had sideburns.
I would not have.
Yeah.
No. Yes. So, and this episode is written by Dan Muirden, and he has written for a ton of procedurals. He's written for Miss Scarlet and the Duke, Sister Boniface, Death in Paradise, Majorca Files, The Coroner, Doctors. He is a regular writer on Father Brown and Shakespeare Hathaway. Yep, all the hits. He was a playwright for a little bit, and y'all, you can go check out his radio play, which is on YouTube, A Fair to Remember. It is about here's the logline. When London cabbie Tony picks up a fare, the journey takes him a bit too close to home. So you get it? A fair to remember? Fair, LOL. Okay. Anyway, then we have some fun guest stars, and this is, we were talking about resonance with Pericles. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the exciting guest stars in this episode is he plays a character named Martin Mariner.
Right. Mariner, sailor.
Yeah, exactly. Pericles, right?
On
reference.
The ship. Yep.
So this is a for real, honest to goodness American actor playing an American uncle, a quote unquote long lost American uncle of Frank Hathaway.
Wow. So the BBC actually cast an American actor as opposed to like letting some British actor show off their American accent.
Yes. When I saw the log line, I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to sit through 45 minutes of
some Brit being extraordinarily proud
of their American accent. Exactly. But no, it's a real American born in Long Island. This guy, he's in his 70s. He's his acting career, it just totally reads like a man of his time. Like it. So he went to college in, it seems like the US, and he is best known for playing, nerd alert. He is best known for playing Captain Hollister on the BBC TV series Red Dwarf. Okay. And he frequently plays other American characters in other British TV shows and movies. He has also had movie roles in Aliens, Batman, Fifth Element, all of which were filmed in England. Okay, but here's the thing. So after leaving school in America, he pursued a stage career, and he had a strong personal preference for comedy and music. And he was in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1968 at a local...
So 68. So he's a product of his time in the late 60s. So he's a hippie is what you're saying.
Yeah. He was playing Bozo the Clown in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
And then he moved to San Francisco and was a bicycle courier.
He moved to San Francisco in 68 or 69 to be a bicycle courier.
Yeah,
all right.
and joined the AAA acting company. I tried to look that up. I don't know. Somebody from San Francisco is going to have to tell me. Like, I'm going to have to call it my dad and say, what the heck is this? Do you remember it? So he developed an interest in teachings of this. It's not like a cult leader, but it sounds kind of like
mystic,
it.
A 60s
yeah, he's
mystic.
a mystic who was teaching like mindfulness, basically. If you read it, this guy is saying this guy's name was George Gurdjieff, and he was teaching like how we all go through life basically like we're asleep and we just don't realize like
yes, you're all sheeple. You're all asleep, people.
Yeah.
You have to wake up and achieve transcendence.
Exactly. Yeah. And some people have picked apart his teachings and been like,
no, you don't
like
say.
Buddhism, basically. Like he's basically looking for enlightenment.
Wait. You're trying to say that people in the 70s in San Francisco were maybe kind of cult leaders?
This guy was not from San Francisco. This guy was actually born in
yeah, but he
Armenia.
was teaching in San Francisco.
No, he actually, it doesn't seem like he traveled in America. But
okay, so it's just the teachings in general.
Yeah,
okay.
he had a school in Paris.
Oh.
Anyway, and he raised money in the U.S., but it doesn't seem like, at least from his bio, that he actually landed in San Francisco. He might have. Anyway, so our actor that we're following here in this story, Martin Mariner, played. Okay, I'm sorry. So this actor's name is Mac McDonald. His birth name was Terrence McDonald, but I guess that wasn't like cool enough for an actor.
Mac.
So he decided to go with Mac McDonald. So, okay. So he decides not to go work for or learn from the mystic.
Right.
And instead he decides to go busk in Europe with just a fool's hat and a melodica.
This is what I love. Like your life choices are, in the 70s, you could have life choices that were, do I follow the teachings of this like heretical Buddhist mystic, or do I go busk in Europe? What should I do? I know. I'll just take a fool's cap and I'll go busk in Europe. And that's
a thing.
Clearly worked out.
Well, it gets better, right?
Oh, no.
Because then in Amsterdam, he met another American and accepted an invitation from them to stay in a commune in Kentish, North London.
Oh, my Lord.
Where he stayed for a number of years, taking over eventually a leatherworking business from another American who was leaving. And he ran that leather goods business at the newly opened Camden Lock Market. And then he hit upon a novel idea.
Oh, please.
He developed what he called the human jukebox, in which he waited in a silver box until when, prompted by the insertion of a coin and the selection of a song, he opened a window and delivered an unaccompanied rendering of that song. And this was very successful. He had a passable tenor. Supposedly. And he had
Wait a minute. Did his own bio say that he had a passable tenor?
Yeah, he wrote this for sure.
Well, I guess, sure, yes, he wrote this. But also in his bio, he says, I'm a passable singer. Like, you could have written anything about your tenor, and he chose to write it's passable?
I feel like that's just...
It's modesty. It's just modesty.
He's an actor who's, like, just done all the things.
If I was a better tenor, I would have been a singer.
Right. He's just like, I can do it if I need to, if called upon.
I jape, but let's be honest, I have nothing approaching a passable tenor or baritone or anything else. So good job, Mac.
Yeah. He also, put a lot of character into it. Apparently it was show busy, a faux sincere personality, sometimes endearing, ironical, and impossibly corny. Apparently, that was all the description of it.
Yeah, he wrote that.
Yeah, and he made his debut on UK TV, standing in for Elton John's part with Kiki D in the hit duet "Don't Go Breaking My Heart."
I couldn't if I tried.
Yeah, and then about this time, he joined another company which did children's theater and traveled all over the UK.
Oh, my Lord. My Lord.
Then... he left that to join to create a 3-person musical comedy troupe called Cheap Shots. And they performed I didn't know this was happening, but in the 80s, there was a new burgeoning London alternative comedy circuit. And so he was performing at the Comedy Store in London alongside a bunch of famous comedians.
He busked and made leather goods for from the 70s into the 80s for 10 years. Yeah. My Lord.
And then he got onto Red Dwarf.
Okay, yeah.
From there. And this led to a bunch of other TV work, and he is still living. He has a partner and 2 daughters, and he's had kind of a
solid career.
A solid
Yeah,
career.
he's had a
Thank
solid
you. Good
career.
word. Solid career doing film and TV.
That is fantastic. And yes, like from Bozo the Clown in Shreveport, Illinois, to busking, to living in a commune in London, to... All right.
To Red Dwarf.
Can you...
And Aliens. Or Alien. No, Aliens. He did the plural.
Yeah.
And the Batman and Fifth Element. I can't remember who he played in Fifth Element.
I have no idea who he played in.
Yeah. Then there's also an actress who I guess we find out she dies. Her character dies,
Diana.
but she is a British actor of Indigenous American heritage.
What's her name?
Her name is Diana Bermudez, and she plays Diana Tarshish. I'm not sure how you pronounce her.
That's okay.
Last name.
You don't get a point because it's a character name. So
okay, good. Thanks. I'm still pointless. Oh,
no.
No, thank you. She is from Colombia originally, and she has been drawn to the performing arts for her whole life. She's been doing, from drama club back in high school.
Did she run a leather shop?
She did not.
Any news about a commune for her?
Oh my goodness, that would be like a whole other thing for a lady to run a leather shop. Oh, man. Okay, so she went to a very fancy drama school. Where did she go? She went to the Central School of Speech and Drama, which Laurence Olivier, Judi Dench, Vanessa Redgrave, Carrie Fisher, et cetera,
Carrie
all
Fisher,
went to.
let's be honest, Carrie Fisher went there for a hot minute. Like, I think she maybe made it a year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
From her story? Is that what she said? Yeah. Yeah. And then we have this other actor.
Oh.
Todd Van Joel, he plays Phil Lehman, and we haven't seen this episode, so I have no idea who this character is. He is an actor who has credits on Holby City, Silent Witness, EastEnders. He is also an award-winning casting director, a graffiti artist, a licensed kickboxer, a qualified swimming instructor, a city and guilds qualified tradesman.
This guy, like the special skills on his acting resume.
Yes, yeah. He has a pirate radio station in London. He is a talented MC. Which has led for him to a career in voiceover and ADR. He has credits including Google, Xbox, BBC, Nestle, Sony PlayStation, UEFA Europa League. And he also fronted the Royal Navy's radio recruitment campaign. He played a character named Nathan. I don't know how you know the character Nathan, but apparently you do. And he had this catchphrase, which was "Born in London, made in the Royal Navy." Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing exactly. But
yeah. There's lots of ways to take that. But they scoured to find the most eclectic. Like we need people with the craziest history for this episode.
Yeah,
we just need to do it.
Well, this guy's also, it does not end there. He is a published creative writer. He's also an ex-felon. And so that's what he wrote.
Wow.
He has this published short story that was used as a research in a movie called Offender, a 2012 film. And so it's not based on, but
wait a minute. So what is his character? I'm sorry. What's his name?
We don't know what his character's name is. Phil Lehman.
And what is his name?
His name is Todd Van Joel.
Todd, I'm really sorry to do this to you, but I might just be guessing you.
Well, it might be kind of classist to say it because I'm wondering if he might have a Cockney accent as well.
What is a Cockney accent? Like I've heard the term a Cockney accent, but I couldn't tell you what like Cockney is like the opposite of posh, right?
Yes. Yeah. And there's like Cockney rhyming slang and it's the total opposite of posh and
a governor.
Yeah.
Sure, fair
exactly.
enough. Okay, got it.
And not our
By the way, I'm sure that a governor is
pronunciation.
completely wrong as to what the accent actually is. I'm just saying, like the opposite of posh.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, I don't know for sure. He also has a critically acclaimed poetry, and he works and mentors ex-offenders. His aunt is the famous considered the first in history supermodel from the 60s.
Oh, wow.
Jean Shrimpton.
I'm sorry. You've got all these amazing characters over here. You've got a mess of Pericles. I think this is going to be an amazing show.
I would have to agree. And yeah, I mean, and an American showing up in this, what the heck? And related to Frank, there's a great picture from this episode where they're like almost nose to nose. And in the background, Sebastian and Luella are just like, they're so like excited.
Yes.
Like they're going to, Frank is going to like have met family.
He's going to have family and some kind of humanity to him.
Yeah. And there's some other fun actors in this show. This is some of their first works. And so I think actually my bet is going to be on Lola, but we'll see. I mean, her name is Lola. I mean, they're just setting her up to be for us. Well, they're setting her up for me to guess her as the murderer, but it's not going to be her. Right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We should find out.
Watched. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go watch and we'll come back with some actual guessing.
See you soon. All right, Jacob, who do you accuse?
Before we get into accusing, before we even get into recounting the plot for what we have here, I just want to say that I don't know if you have been keeping track. I haven't really been keeping track, but this is the first episode in quite some time that we have had to actually watch a little bit of the episode.
Oh my gosh. The
episode is about 44 minutes long, 45 minutes, and we watched 11, we had to get 11 minutes in before there was a crime.
There was a lot of time there, but I think we've watched longer shows you've had the murder doesn't happen until 15 minutes in.
Well, even in Murder, She Wrote, we were like more than 20 minutes in before the crime actually occurred. Like, I mean, sometimes you just have to set up the mystery, especially in something like this. You've just got to take some time to set up the crime. You got to take the time to do the crime. Yeah. So we got a good 11 minutes in on this. We got some good stuff happening.
Some character development. Yeah. Some eating of breakfast sandwiches.
There's more eating. Like, again, like Luella, every scene that she's in, there's practically every scene she's in, there's eating. She had chips. She went to a cafe. She went to a cafe. She got chips. She went to a cafe to try and do some undercover work. Like, Frank brought her a breakfast sandwich. Yes, there's all the food all the time on this. But we're missing the real important question here.
Yeah.
Why is there a diagram of a bird on Frank's office?
Oh, wait. On the door? What are you talking about?
There's like this gigantic poster of a bird that is like, it's a swan, I guess, maybe, and it has like all the innards and different organs. I mean, it's not like medically or anatomically correct, but it's just like, it's like, what is it's like a period piece of what, like, the insides of it.
We'll have to look at that.
I don't understand.
It might be a joke of like a season of the RSC or something, because that's one of the theaters is the Swan.
Maybe that. I mean, there is some kind of choice happening around it, and I'm finally like, I want to know what this is.
Wait, am I making that up? I could be making that up. But yeah, there's a choice there. We'll have to look at that closely.
Yeah. But in terms of looking at things closely, there is some good prop work in this episode.
That is a great segue, Jacob. Did you know that you were going there?
I did not, but I will take those laurels. So the episode starts with Frank and Luella coming in and Sebastian being like, "You have a visitor." And it turns out to be Martin Mariner, who immediately claims that he's Frank's brother, long lost uncle, not brother, uncle. He was his dad's brother. And Frank is not happy about this in the slightest. Frank is a bit of a grump, but Frank turns violent in this. He's like, "You've got 2 seconds to let me go." And then he like spins the guy around and like puts his arm up behind his back. And it's
well, and he
shocking.
Also like accuses him as very soon of being an American. I mean, he is an American.
He is an American. And this is like bargain basement American. This is everything about this character is bigger. Like, he's got his big backpack. He's got these huge, like, he comes up later on. He's got these huge binoculars to do some stalking.
Compared with Luella's like cute little opera glasses.
He's got some, and he's dressed like the costume is just like Costco. that's what you need to look like. You need to look like khakis in Costco and like browns and white tennis shoes and a baseball hat. That's what makes an American.
Yeah.
Which is hard. Like in this first scene, like the actor kept having to cheat his head up to make sure that we could see his eyes because he's got the baseball cap pulled down so low.
Oh, you're right. That's what's happening. I did think that was weird.
Yeah, like it was like had to get it in there because there was still shade coming down over the baseball hat. Like I was like, what is going on? Like, no, they had to like what could a Brit do to like immediately telegraph American? It's either baseball hat or cowboy hat. It's those two things.
Yes,
and they went
and that
for baseball
happens.
Hat.
And they went for baseball. I mean, it's reasonable.
It's a reasonable choice. I'm not saying a couple episodes back we joked about how like the Americans would be the White Walkers or something. So yes, like they are fully bringing out the like stereotypical American on this.
Yeah.
But Frank is having none of it. The prop work that's amazing is that they show like photos, like old-timey photos to establish this. There is a handwritten will, which is amazing. I want to believe that a props person actually made this and they didn't just like print it out with some amazing font. Because like we paused it and we stopped it and like the notes on the family tree and this like it's not lorem ipsum. It's like I, the undersigned. Like it's this like cursive handwritten will that happens on something. So
yeah, beautiful.
Well done, props people on this. But Frank is having none of it. He kicks. Martin is just like, I just want to learn and get to know my family. I just want to get to know my family. He also calls into question the veracity of how Frank's grandmother died.
Right.
So it really strikes to something very core, and Frank is threatened by all of this, and he kicks Martin out. And then you immediately cut to a gift shop where Frank and Luella are talking to David and Diana Tarsich, I think is their name.
Yeah.
David and Diana Tarsich, who own the shop. They had an employee, Lola, who hurt her ankle and twisted some ligaments when a box of Shakespeare busts fell onto her foot. Yes, lovely. And she's not suing them because I'm not sure. Like maybe
she's just asking for workers' compensation.
Yes, and like the paths are expensive, and they want to prove that she's lying. They want to prove that she's lying, and so they hire Frank and Lou to like surveil her. And as they're leaving, Frank makes a joke.
Although I'm super curious what you even need to sue for in workers' compensation because, I mean, you have free health care in the UK.
Right. Like you don't need to pay for your health care. What are you paying for? Like the loss of work, I guess, would be the biggest thing on that.
But it seems like you also can have benefits for that. Like short-term I don't know what they call it there, but
yeah. Okay. I don't know. Anyway. But in any event, she wants money from them.
Yeah.
And they hire Frank and Lou to surveil her. But on their way out, Frank takes a look at, they have these like oval fossil shaped things, which are Jurassic era limestone.
Yeah.
And they're 1,300 pounds. And Frank makes a joke. He's like, oh, I think you put too many knots on that sign there. So he clearly thinks that things are too expensive in the shop. Anyways, then they go and they surveil Lola. Luella surveils Lola. Mm-hmm. And they follow her and her boyfriend leave the apartment. Her boyfriend then disappears for a bit, but she goes to a coffee shop. Lola goes to a coffee shop and little cafe, sits down, and they do there's always a signature moment where Frank and Luella always kind of lean out from the side of a building. They do that here. There's this nice stone bank looking building. They
very satisfying.
Very cute. And then Luella decides to do some undercover work. She kind of like puts her hair up in this she doesn't cut her hair, but she like does her hair differently for a bob, puts on a pink lip.
Like and really pink lip.
Really pink lip. And goes and sits down and like starts,
And a pair of glasses.
Yes. Starts pressuring Lola for some information. And Lola's story is right down the books. She was at work.
Yeah. Right down the line.
Right down the line, everything. She's using crutches all the time. So she seems to be pretty legit. But while she's questioning her, the costumier shows up.
Yay!
And they're like, Luella's looking at her like, don't blow my cover. Don't blow my cover. And she's like, can I join you for lunch? And Luella's like, no, go away.
Because I am not staying.
Yes.
And then she stares her down.
And
then Roberta, oh, I have to go. I forgot I have an appointment with my masseur. Very handsome.
And also very punctual for a Brazilian.
So weird.
Yes.
Like a bizarre excuse. But yeah, the fact that she finally gets it is hilarious.
Yes. So she goes away and then also Lola goes away. So then they're just set to go ahead and like sit in the car and watch Lola and her boyfriend all day, which, by the way, it was sunny. They had
there was no rain.
There was no rain. It was sunny, and they were just eating chips in the car and having fun.
They had to sit in the car because they were trying to do surveillance and be like low key.
Yeah.
But there was no rain.
There was no rain. I was just, oh, look, there's the sun. Yay, it does exist in England. And while they're watching, Luella notes that David Tarsich just keeps calling and calling and calling and really wants to find this out. And eventually, he admits that they don't have insurance.
They don't have the workers' compensation insurance.
So he meant to, but he didn't. So he really can't afford. If they have to pay her out, it will ruin them. And he hasn't told his wife. And then they don't find out anything. They cut to a scene of his wife, Diana, counting money for whatever reason. It's just this quick little snippet where she's counting money in the shop. And then they go back to, and then the next shot is Luella being woken up by Frank the next morning, who's giving her a breakfast sandwich. And they're like, maybe we can get them to like pop for a surveillance camera because we can't keep staying awake all night and doing all this. And so he goes off to the shop to get them to convince them to buy a camera. And when he's at the shop, he discovers Diana dead on the floor. That's where we stopped. That's where the guessing will begin. Jessica, I've been talking way too much. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think that it is the shop owner, David, who has killed his wife. But he didn't actually kill his wife. I think he paid Lola's boyfriend to kill Diana. Like Fargo style.
Oh, okay.
He paid somebody else to go knock her off.
Okay.
And I think he wants to get rid of her and her prying eyes because I have pre-cheated.
Oh,
there is another woman that we have not met yet.
Oh, wait a minute.
Another young woman.
So I was also thinking that it was David. We are in agreement that we think it was the male shopkeeper because I thought that maybe David was in a relationship with Lola, but maybe he's in a relationship with this other woman that we haven't met yet.
Yeah. And I think he knows the shop is not long for the world because Lola's going to get payment. There's just no way around it.
Yeah. And so we both think it's David.
Yeah.
All right.
But for maybe different reasons.
Well, no, because, this is the thing. Like, because my original guess was, yes, it was David, but he was in a relationship with Lola. But that would mean that Lola was also, like, two-timing on her boyfriend. And her boyfriend... Lola, by the way, is also not completely ruled out as a suspect because Lola owes her creditors, like, 20,000 pounds. So she is deep in the hole.
Yeah, and payday loans.
Yes, payday loans. That's who it is.
Expensive type of
loan. Highest interest rates, usury practically.
Yeah.
So oh man, and before I was guessing that it was the ex-con, but I don't think it's the ex-con. On the other hand, we haven't heard from the boyfriend at all.
We don't know that he's an ex-con.
Right.
We're just wondering because of the.
All right,
what we read about the actor.
I'm changing my guess.
Okay.
I'm changing my guess because we think that it can't be Lola because Shakespeare and Hathaway have been watching her all night, and she's been in her apartment, and she like sat down and watched TV.
And we saw her face as her, herself on their crutches.
Right, she was doing dishes and walking around the crutches, but then she sat down on the couch, and we only saw the back of her head.
Yeah.
So I'm betting that she somehow pulled some switcheroo on the couch and went out and killed Diana. I bet it was her. She went and killed Diana. And I think she's going to turn out to be a little bit of a scamp and try to pin it on the ex-con.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I am. I'm changing it up.
Okay.
I can't if
Jacob crossing it out. Jessica is crossing out shop owner having affair with Lola, and I am changing it to Lola.
Just Lola all the way, straight down the line.
Diana.
Yes. I don't know why. I bet it has something to do with I bet she brained her with one of those big stones. Actually, I'm not sure. Whoever brained her, I will bet that one of those stones is the murder weapon. Yeah. I bet that's she was smashed in the head.
Stone as murder weapon. Is that being hit with a bunch of amber that, was full of a prehistoric fly?
Yes. Yes.
But instead, it's a gigantic thing of limestone.
It's a gigantic thing of limestone.
Like a monster truck wheel of limestone.
It's not that bad. It's about as big as an omelet. It's about 4 or 5 inches.
Size? I thought it was bigger.
Okay. Well, whatever it was big enough to crush somebody's skull.
Yes. Ha ha ha.
So.
Okay.
All right.
We're in. We're in. Locked in.
Here we go. Let's find out how wrong exactly I am.
And me too.
There we go. What might be the most American thing ever about us watching this show, Jessica, is that not only did we take a break to go watch the show, we also took a break to watch a little bit of football in there. So yes, we are watching Shakespeare and Hathaway, but we are also still American. So in that spirit, Jessica, what was by the way, we both won. But in the spirit...
I thought you were going to lead with that. I thought you were going to say, like, oh, what do we do now? We both won.
We both won. We were both right.
I mean, with our different guesses.
Yes.
But we were both right. Well, okay. You were more right than I was.
Well, that's not... Okay, so... I will remind you of my guess, and then you can remind everyone of your guess. My guess was that Lola did it, but I thought that Lola did it on her own. But I said that Lola did it, and Lola smashed Diane's head with one of those limestone bricks that Frank joked about. And guess what? That is 100% what happened. But Lola she was in cahoots. And I had said at first that Lola was going to be in cahoots with who we were calling Dave, and we were is the actor's name Dave? Is that why we were calling him Dave?
Oh,
his name was Leon.
I don't know.
The character's name was actually Leon. Leon was the husband.
Leon is played by Carl Davies.
That's why we were calling him
was
David.
On Happy Valley, and he was a Lannister on Game of Thrones for 3 episodes. He was in The Nevers. He is on The Tower, The Bay, which are both crime mystery dramas. Anyway, but yeah, his name is not Dave. I don't know where we came up with
The character's name was Leon. I don't know where we came up with Dave.
The character's name was Leon.
But yes, Leon was in cahoots with Lola because neither one of them liked Diane. So there you go. And it's not that didn't like Diane, like
Diana.
The
character's name is Diana.
Diana, right. Like, Leon was also, at the very least, a cross-dresser, if not some kind of trans. And when Diane found out, she was horribly abusive to him and would, beat him and, burn him with her cigarettes. So that's why he wanted revenge. And Lola wanted revenge because her boyfriend, Phil, was cheating on her with Diana.
But he was cheating on her with everybody.
Yes, but it just so happened that this was what put her over the edge. But in any event, Leon and Lola got together and decided that Diana had to go. So Leon dressed up as Lola, while Lola, who had actually been faking her foot injury, went out and did the deed and made it look like that it was a robbery and that Phil was to blame for it. So that was all did it. So yeah, I was right. It was 100% Lola did it. But she was also in cahoots with Leon, which is what you said. So we got it right.
Yeah. And they knew that Phil was going to show up. Phil, the boyfriend.
Well, they knew because they texted him and told him.
Oh, that's right.
To show up.
Him over.
Yeah, they invited him over to frame
11.
him.
That's right. Right. So he showed up, and then he was like, "Well, there's money here. I'm going to steal it.
There's money here. May as well take it."
This was
a character choice. This was a character choice I love. So Phil is a bit of a lowlife. He picks up the money, which has blood on it. Which, come on, you don't have to be a genius to realize you don't take money with blood on it. Which I also have a problem with Frank taking money with blood on it, and his long lost Martin Mariner American uncle taking money with blood. folks.
Well, but it was a cozy mystery, and so they kind of, it seems like they didn't even notice because it was inside like the packet, and it was just sort of like a smudge of blood. It kind of looked like somebody, I mean, I've seen more blood come out of somebody with a bloody nose, but that's about as much blood as there was on these banknotes, I think.
That's fine. I mean, maybe they were making it visible for the audience so we could follow along. But I just feel as if we need to have a PSA, which is like, if there's blood on money, don't take the money. Just don't take the money.
Really, you should not be taking anything from a murder scene.
Well, okay, that might be the large.
Don't. maybe just leave that alone and call the cops.
Yes.
Hope that there's no way that you could possibly get framed, because it also seems like these police are like, yep, you did it, even though there's like no reason.
Yes, these police jump to so many conclusions in this episode. At first, they don't want to investigate it because they think it's just a robbery. Then as soon as they have the uncle in, they're like, oh, it must be him. And then as soon as they have like Phil, it must be him. Like they each time it's like, this is an open shut case. Oh, people, come on. I mean, I guess I'm happy that Frank and Lou keep getting work, but I keep getting sidetracked. You keep sidetracking me. One of the things that happens in the scene when Phil comes in and like takes the money, not only does he take the money, I want to know whose choice it was for him to just stick that money down his pants.
Oh, that was a great choice.
Doesn't go into a pocket, doesn't go into a bag, doesn't like it. He literally like it goes into his pants, and not even just his pants. It might even go into his underpants.
I didn't see that, but yeah, he definitely just stuffed it down there.
It definitely goes down his trousers.
Took the moment for him to like, consider like, where should I put this?
Where should I put this? Oh yeah, stuff it down. Stuff it down the pants. But
but we know from his conversation with Lou when Luella is, his conversation with Frank, where Frank is like keeping his attention so that Lou can go dig around in his taxi for more money or evidence. Yeah. And he keeps his phone in the car, in the like cup holder in the car, which suggests he has no pockets for the cash.
Wait a minute. Have we stumbled onto the real mystery here? Is England backwards, where women's clothing has all the pockets and men's clothing doesn't have pockets? Is that what's happening here?
I think we might be onto something.
Write us in. Men in England, do you have pockets? Let us know if this is something we need to talk about.
We're going to find out activewear has no pockets.
British activewear has no pockets.
It would ruin the line of the leg.
the line of the leg. And if there's one thing we know about Phil, is that he was a clothes horse. No, he was not a clothes horse.
But he might have been interested in emphasizing his trouser snake, as you put it the other day.
I also want to point out, well, as long as we're talking about clothes, this is now Jacob talks about clothes on this show. Okay, this isn't exactly about clothes, so never mind. But this is about Americanness. Like I talked about the baseball hat before, and how Martin was dressed all in khaki. So in this half of the episode, Frank and Martin obviously get closer, and they learn to have affection towards each other, even though it turns out that they're not related. That mystery, I suppose we could have guessed on that mystery too, as to whether or not they were related and how it was. But in any event, Martin was not Frank's uncle. Frank's grandmother had died before Martin had been born, and they proved this at this church. But while they were investigating at the church, they learned that the woman who actually did give birth was the vicar's daughter back in the day at the church, and now she was the church warden. But my whole point with all of this is that, like, the other very American thing that he does at some point is that when Frank clears Martin out of all of this, Martin wants to give Frank a hug. He just comes in with this great big hug, and Frank's like, nope, we do not hug.
That was hilarious.
So yes, men in England, there's no hugging and there's no pockets. This is what we know.
Yeah. Guesses. These are our guesses.
Willfully obtuse, people. There are some times when we are willfully obtuse. Just roll with it.
our wild guesses about
Yes.
men in England. I think people do hug. I don't think they're a hugless society.
This is England, the hugless society. I agree. But yes, the hugging for greeting is very much an American thing. Like I am going to be in the company of some coworkers tomorrow from the United Kingdom, and I am very much going to have to do the whole like, how are we going to do this? Are we going to shake hands? Are we going to fist bump? Are you okay with the hugging because we're Americans? I don't know. Are you okay with the hugging and then just make fun of us later? I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah. I have to say, I am not a big hugger.
Oh?
I am not. I mean, I'll do it again if it's culturally the right thing, but it isn't like, it doesn't come naturally to me to like sidle up to somebody.
Right.
I know that's comfortable for you, right?
There are times when it is and when it is not. There are times where I'm just like, yeah, you get a fist bump, or yeah, you get like the reverse nod. You know the reverse nod thing where it's just like you just kind of like tilt your head up, like, yeah, hey, how's it going? Like there are people who only get the reverse nod, and sometimes that's appropriate. But
what's the original nod?
The original nod is you just kind of like bend your head forward. The reverse nod is you kind of bend your head back, as to be like, hey, what's up?
That's
all this is
entirely
all this
what I grew up with.
Fascinating. Yeah, exactly.
is the reverse nod. I don't know that I've ever experienced the original nod.
Well, that's the original nod is not how you say hello.
Chili. Wait, it isn't? So then, okay. It's used at other times.
Yeah, like you can agree with people by nodding, but you don't say hello when you nod. If you're nodding,
okay, thank you.
Yeah. No. Like, people nod. I nod. Yes. I will also say, looking through my notes here, there was 2 great Sebastian moments for me in this episode.
Yeah?
One, there's a point where they're talking about actors and actresses, and somebody mentions Dame Judi Dench. And Sebastian full on crosses himself like a Catholic genuflection. It's just like Dame Judi Dench, sign of the cross.
Yes, that was so
hallowed
beautiful.
Hallowed be her name.
Yes. That was beautiful. That was because he was talking to the costumier in her store, and she was relating how she had run into Lou, and Lou was staring at her like, you don't know me. Go away. I'm undercover. I'm having a conversation. She was just flustered and startled. And then Sebastian said, well, Lou said you handled it like Dame Judi Dench, and crosses himself. And she's like, oh, how nice of you to say so. I have to say, she did handle it very well. But for comedic purposes, I did want a little more actual fluster. Like, I did want her to, like, look up at the other girl, I don't know, it's not so American. I just wanted some more of that clowning. I just wanted a double take. I wanted a double take where she looked at Lola, looked at Lou, then looked at Lola, and then recalibrated and came up with her story. Like, that's what I wanted.
Oh. Watch that penny drop. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to watch the penny drop, and I didn't see that, and so I was a little bummed, actually. But it's still a really fun moment.
Clearly, we can't give this too many Christies because we both nailed this.
Well, we did, except that it was kind of even a little more complicated because I feel like this has a decent amount of Christies because it was Lola and Leon together, and they set up Phil in order to kill Diana, or he didn't kill her, but they set him up, and I think that's an extra, like, using somebody against themselves.
I mean, you do whatever, you give it however you feel is necessary, but I'm only giving this one 3 Christies. I'm only giving this 3.
3. You're so stingy.
When both of us got it right.
I think I gave you a lot of pre-cheating, though.
There have been times when pre-cheating doesn't help at all. So.
Well, okay. I just told you about the small cast and the people with their different backgrounds that kind of
yes, and we should also say
to think of that the actor's background lent itself to him playing the boyfriend.
But that was in the intro, and I totally was like, I was ready to get on board with that train. But then we watched the opening, and I was like, nope, it's not him. We were confused about Teresa, though. We were like, oh yeah, there's another woman in there. Maybe she's going to have something to do with this. But no, that was just Teresa, the Martin's mother.
Yeah. But Martin's mother. I will say there was some. It turned out to have some Shakespearean sort of resonance to it, right? Because you said the story of Pericles has an angry father and a daughter and an incestuous relationship, and this was not an incestuous relationship that we know of, that the vicar's daughter,
but it was an illegitimate pregnancy.
But it was an illegitimate child, and he was it seems like he was kind of upset about it. Because she was going to still keep it a secret, even today.
No, he definitely wanted to keep it a secret. He even paid. Yeah. He even paid the clerk, the county clerk, to put in
not her
Frank's
name.
Grandmother's name to like keep her name out of it. So no, there was definitely some shame around some sexual activity in here.
Yes. That's the resonance I'm kind of like going on, and then also the parent, the child returning to find their parent. That's actually Shakespearean as well.
The family reuniting. Yeah, 100%.
Family reunions. That's a big Shakespeare thing. And then the gender changing. Also very Shakespearean.
You're right. Very, very much with the cross-dressing and gender fluidity in Shakespeare. 100%. Which, speaking of, like, not only Leon, Linda, that is also where Sebastian goes and finds all this out at the drag bar, basically. And he comes in drag, and he looked stunning.
Oh, everybody in there did. Like, everybody. The bartender looked amazing. There was another person in the background that I was like, holy moly. Like, everybody looked they were all like they weren't in casual everyday wear. They were in like silk prints and stuff, but
it was like business.
Gorgeous, it was like business. Yeah. Like really nice business with like beautiful belts and jewelry and like
these were ladies looking to look
makeup,
powerful and gorgeous. Yes.
Yeah. Gorgeous makeup, gorgeous hair. Wow. It was there. The whole room was pretty stunning in those shots.
He looked pretty fabulous, and we're feeling pretty fabulous about this win this week. So
yes,
I think we'll close it there. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it.
And now we want to hear from you.
Tell us your guesses, your scores, and your suggestions for what shows we should watch next.
Go to our website, Cluedunnitpodcast.com, or email us at cluedunnitpodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram and Facebook at Cluedunnit Podcast, or on Twitter at Cluedunnit.
And if you like the podcast, please rate us and review us on Spotify or Apple Podcast to help us get the word out. And maybe you'll hear your review read on the show.
Want to be a Cluedunnit private investigator? Leave us a few bucks at cluedunnitpodcast.com and we'll send you a personalized, official Cluedunnit private investigator license.
Officially approved by the totally fake Podcasting Adjudication Board in their secret headquarters in a mountain outside of Squamish.
We hope to hear from you soon, because watching TV
is always better with friends.
Don't get me wrong. I'm totally for nodding. Who's not? And there's nobody here who's against nodding.
Oh, okay, good. I was nervous for a second there.
I'm not a nodder.
That sounds like a warm-up we should do now.
Yes, it absolutely does.
I nodded at the nodder.
I nodded at the nodder who nattered about the nog.
On Notting Hill.